Hello, how is everybody? I am Colleen with Chats with Colleen. This is our bi-weekly podcast that is released and produced every other week. If you would like to join us anytime, please like and share, and please join us. If you want to become in person, we're in Lake Mary, or you can come on Zoom from anywhere in the world at the time of your convenience. So please join us. We would love to have you. This week, our upcoming guest is Daniel Sposato, or Danny, that's what I call him. And he is a really great person, a really great young man. And he's going to share to us how he's transitioning from being a strength and conditioning coach to a realtor. It's really interesting and really enlightening, especially at his young age, seeing how he, kind of mentions about both fields and how his training and his endurance in life has really compiled them to one. So it's really enlightening. It's really great. And I really like him. So I'm a fan. And also, he's going to become a first-time dad in the next coming days. I think the due date is on the 9th, which is Sunday. So that's really exciting for him and his family. So we wish them all well and congratulations. And as you can see, I'm wearing these glasses still. It's like week number 3, where I'm having an allergic reaction to my contacts, which I've been in for 30 years. And I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people wear glasses all the time. I am in so much pain. I have the worst headache, even though I've been wearing contacts for like my whole life. It's just complete change and getting used to. I feel like it's more strain on me. So hopefully, next time you see me, I'll have my contacts in, or at least a new pair of glasses, because I don't really like these. But anyways, those are just my little problems going on. I hope you all are well. If you have any ideas or likes that you would like to share, please reach out and join us. And again, please enjoy the upcoming episode. Thank you. So welcome. This is Colleen with Chats with Colleen. Today I have a special guest in our first in-office studio. I have Danny Sposato, and I'm so excited to have you because he has a great resume here that I'm looking at with my questions, and I'm totally excited to learn about it. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. And you're the first guest in our office studio, so we're still kind of under construction, but it's going to get there.
I feel honored.
Thank you. So I want to ask you, you're in the middle of a career transition, would you say? And so you're going from a professional trainer for professional athletes to a realtor. How did you come about this?
It's a great question. So I went to school for sport and exercise science. I thought I wanted to do collegiate strength conditioning, be in that realm. And I did. I got a job immediately after. I worked in the field for 8 years. I loved it, and I still do. I think something a lot of strength coaches go through, especially as you kind of start getting to a little bit later in your career. First couple of years, you're so excited to be a part of it, and you just kind of you'll do whatever. And the space is very much like you have to earn your stripes. So there are guys who are working for free or less than minimum wage, like, because they just love it. And you do that for a couple years, and then you finally start getting like an actual position, and you're making a little bit of money. And so you get, you're so stoked to even have a salary, but in reality, you're still making not a lot. And then kind of as you get to the point where you want to start settling down, having kids, like financially, it doesn't always add up. And so a lot of guys and girls end up transitioning, for example, at my stage of the career now where, like I said, I worked in the field for 8 years, I probably know 5 or 6 who in the last year have left the field to go into sales roles or to go into, administrative positions. Like, it's just very common. So I kind of just gotten to a point where I wanted something a little bit more. And so I kind of started looking for other things. I thought about, things I enjoy. I thought about things that would allow me to continue to work with people because I really love that element. Real estate's something that I've always been passionate about. Funny enough, something I thought would be kind of like a side that would help supplement my main of strength conditioning. And the more I looked into it, the more it made sense to just kind of make it the full-time thing. And I kind of do strength conditioning on the side.
Wow. See, I didn't know that, but that's really relatable because my son, who's 24, he's in college right now, and he recently moved to Ohio to work with the basketball team at one of the high-end colleges there. And like you said, he's working for free. And fortunately, me and his father are able to help him and support him. But that's interesting. I need to hook him up with you because, you know, they love it so much. And like you said, they're so eager. So they don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
Except for that. And their end goal, which, you know, like you said, there are ways to do it, but I don't know if it's as beneficial financially for them with like your lifestyle that you want and how expensive it is. So you always need to supplement it in some way.
And it's also like what you want your lifestyle to be. Like I've always been someone who really cared about settling down, having a family, and making that like my most important priority.
Right.
But if you want to succeed in that field, it's something where you're constantly having to chase jobs, and every couple years you're moving.
Yes.
You know, like especially if you're an assistant coach or something like that. If the main person leaves and goes and gets another job, which
you may be out.
Exactly. And so you either have to like follow that person wherever they go, or maybe they have a connection and now you have to jump to another state. So you're, you know, the first 10 years of your career, you might move 5 times.
That's really stressful.
Yeah. And so if you're trying to have a family, that becomes very difficult.
I think you answered my next question about what inspired you to make this shift into real estate.
Yeah.
You answered it because it was such a great answer, but it's true. But I feel like it's so connected because you're still helping people with their personal goals with themselves. And then doing real estate, you're still helping people with their personal goals because you're helping them either buy a new home or move on, settle down, or get on with their life in whatever way they have to.
Yeah. And one of the other elements that make them very similar too, like, so you're someone who's experienced a personal trainer. That's a relatively like intimate space. You know, you spend an hour with this person, you get to know them pretty well. Like you're working out in front of them, right? And it's no different. Like, so as a personal trainer, you have to be able to make someone trust you and feel comfortable with you and demonstrate a level of expertise, right? Because this is your body. You could get hurt if they do something wrong or if they lead you astray. Purchasing a home or selling your home is no different, right? It's a massive financial decision. Like you want to know that the person you're working with is credible and you can trust their advice and their decision making. And at the same time, there is an intimacy. You're peeling back your finances, like they know kind of what's going on. And so that's another way like the fields very much relate. And so it made it an easy switch for me, in my opinion.
And you're a people person and you have like an honest, genuine, way about you. So I feel like anybody that you deal with in any industry would be likable.
Thank you.
Like to hear. You're welcome. So were there any challenges with transitioning or within your transitioning? Because you're still doing both. Of course, there's always challenges, but what challenges have you experienced?
I think right off the jump, like, people hear my background and they go, oh, you're just like the dumb gym guy, meathead. What they don't know is like, my degree, I can't tell people I've told you, like my degree is in sport and exercise science. And they look at me like I'm crazy. Oh, that's a 4-year degree, So I think definitely that right off the jump, people didn't understand like how much time and effort I put into my previous career. They just kind of assumed I was like I said, dumb meathead who, liked working out. And so I was the gym guy. And so now like you want me to trust you with buying or selling a house. I definitely think that's been something I've had to kind of push through. And I'm very lucky in my current situation with my brokerage. I love my brokerage. I have people who are very well educated and who have been in the field for 20, 25 years. Like my broker is phenomenal. I don't know if there's anyone who knows more about real estate than he does. And he's so good about teaching. So I feel like even though I've only been in it for a short period, and not only is he good about teaching, but he's in a good way, very demanding of his agents. Like he wants quality. And so he has really like kind of put the screws into me to educate myself and like read contracts and study the law and like really know what I'm talking about before I'm dealing with anyone. Because ultimately, like I'm wearing his brand, right? Like I'm a representation of him. So in very short conversations, I'm able to demonstrate, a knowledge that I think people are kind of impressed with because I've had him really like pushing me and motivating me and like just showing me, quite frankly, like being willing to teach and give me really good resources. And so I think it's kind of helped me like fight that stigma a little bit.
Yeah, and it's true. And with my main career as an insurance agent, I see so many new real estate agents that come in and I'm like, they don't know, and they don't know the questions to ask, and they don't know what they should be doing to support their clients and help them. And I'm like, well, ask for this, do that. I'm like, I don't really, but just by doing this for such a long time, I learned like the wording and stuff like that. But I see a lot of them don't have what you have, you know, with your broker that's really mentoring you and really wants you to be successful. If you're successful, it reflects back to him.
Yeah.
So that's extremely important.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy to just kind of like, you know, it's uncomfortable to be in that situation, to have someone who's pushing you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy for people to kind of steer away from that,
Of course.
you know, and not want to be challenged. And so you just kind of, well, this is how I do it because this is how I've done it for always. And whether that's, you know, the best doesn't get factored into it.
Right. But it's true. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and it's like uncomfortable. And so that's how you grow and learn and move up. And nobody likes that. I mean, it's like you said, you know, working out.
Yeah.
You're right in their face telling them what to do, and they may be saying, oh, I can't do that, it's too hard, but you know that they can do it.
Yeah.
They just don't like it because it's a little bit uncomfortable.
Exactly.
At that time.
Yeah. And it's been a flip because I'm now going through, I can't tell you how many times I've like gone to my wife and I'm like, God, I just don't feel like I know anything, you know, but in reality, it's just because I have someone who's pushing me to be so much better than, you know, the standard.
To learn, exactly. And that's the point. You're going to learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Which is good. What do you enjoy most about working as a realtor?
Definitely the connections. Like one of our favorite sayings is like the clients I've, you know, developed and that are kind of in my like sphere of influence, if you will. Like I love being like, oh, I'm their guy. You know, like if they have a real estate need, or even just advice, quite frankly, like there are plenty of people who I might not actually like do a deal with or make a commission on for years, but for years they've come to me and like asked my opinion. You know, like I want those kinds of relationships. And that's what I had in fitness. I had individuals who like I would train for months, and then maybe especially with my athletes, like, you know, you train them over the summer, but they got to go back to their college for 8 months out of the year. And I'm not seeing them. I'm not getting paid by them, but they know they can text me if they got a thing going on or they needed advice on something. And then when they come back for the summer, I know they're coming to me. There's no questions about it.
There's no question because they trust you. It's about building like a relationship, a professional relationship with the person. They respect you too.
Yeah.
And I feel like these days it's kind of hard to find those connections with people, but it is extremely important.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that kind of gets overlooked and
how much that means and how like important it is. Like I always say, like I'd rather somebody just call me and ask me questions than buy an insurance policy from me because that's going to go further. Like they may not have a need for an insurance policy right now, but they may have a question or a concern or a problem.
Yeah.
And later on, it'll build something.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be in the field. Like, you know, you spend so much time with someone. Like my phone records I just finished 2 deals, and like both parties I was working with, I probably spent more time talking to them over the course of that 2 months than I did my own wife. You know, because there's so many little things that you have to discuss, or so many things that change, and you got to get it figured out. And so you're just on the phone all the time, and you get to know them. You talk about their families, you talk about what they do. And so I love being able to like check in on, you know, oh, how's you know, your kid had that meet. How'd that end up going? You know, because I genuinely care about, like, I enjoy my clients. I love getting to meet them and getting to know them. And so like I do want to know how things are going. We don't just have to talk about real estate.
Right.
And that like connection is probably the most fun for me. And in my short time doing it, I think it's the thing that a lot of people most value from me.
Right. And I think this next question is very similar with all of the other questions we've had. But what would you say are the similarities between coaching athletes and helping clients either sell their home or, you know, actually buy a new home?
Yeah. I mean, we've already kind of touched on like the relational part of it, but one element that also is there is like, you got to have tough conversations, you know? I just finished a transaction where I represented both the buyer and seller, which obviously there are points of friction that could come, right? You want the best for both sides, right? And everything's out in the open. Both parties know that I'm representing the other. It kind of works for both parties because it typically means less commissions being paid out because there's only one realtor involved. But especially like you're going back and forth, there's going to be moments where, and that's true in representing just one side of a deal as well, right? Like maybe they only want to pay a certain dollar amount, or maybe they want these kinds of concessions because of what came back on the inspection or whatever. And maybe the person's willing to do this, but they're not willing to do that, you know, and you have to deliver that bad news essentially to your client and then be ready to talk about next steps essentially. Like, is this, you have to be able to have the like real sharp point of like, is this a deal breaker for you? Because if it is, that's fine and we need to move on. But let me show you like what you're giving up essentially. And ultimately my allegiance is to my client. I want them to feel comfortable. They need to like, when the deal is done, they need to feel like they got the best part of it. And so if that means we walk away from something with the hopes of finding something better, that's fine. I don't care that it, you know, takes longer, but like you have to be ready to have those tough conversations. And training was the same way. You know, maybe I had a kid who like, quite frankly, just wasn't in shape. And like, I know what they're going back to when they go back to their school in August. And like, we've only got a month to bridge that gap, and it's going to suck for a month because this is what you have to do. But ultimately, like, my allegiance again is to that person and what's the best for them, even though what the best for them might not be what they want to hear.
It's true. Sometimes you don't want to hear it.
Yeah. And
it's fine.
Yeah. Buying a house or training to get in shape, like we just kind of said it. It's not the most fun process.
It's not fun, no.
You know?
It's not. It's probably the worst. I think buying a house is one of the most stressful, and like trying to get in shape is probably the most stressful too. Trying to lose weight, get in shape, and especially if you're a competitive athlete, especially these days. Yeah. So speaking about competition in the industry right now, because you know it's been a crazy real estate market for the past couple of years, how do you stand out in this competitive industry?
Yeah, I think it is the like continue to educate yourself and be the one-stop shop, right? So like if I'm working with a client and a weird thing comes up in the transaction, I need to be ready to handle that. And even though like I am very new in this field, so I don't necessarily have, you know, the years of experience, but I have a broker who does. You know, I have team members. We have such a cool like tight knit. We're like a boutique firm, you know, and there's so many agents who are like ready to help, or like they've got a guy who I can lean in. You know, like we might get the inspection report back and maybe there's a weird like electrical problem, right? Like, do you have an electrician that you trust and have worked with before? Because the client probably doesn't, right? Like, so they want to lean on you. And if you can come to them and say, hey, or like the deal I just finished, we found out through going through the permit history that the house had foundation work done to it. That is that's a massive thing, you know? And we found out that the previous owner didn't even know about it because their realtor had never pulled a permit history. And so then it started this whole new, like, we had to go down, chase that like path, and like, I had to find the contractor who did the work 4 years ago, reach out to him, figure out what exactly got done. Was it really that big of a deal? Why was it needed? And then do we need to be concerned moving forward? And it ended up working out. That contractor was awesome. You know, some might not be. He was super forthcoming. There's like a lifetime warranty on it. Like we know it's going to be, and they're willing to transfer that warranty to my buyer. But like that's something, and it's not a normal part of buying a house.
No.
And I think being able to handle those kinds of situations and showing expertise and quite frankly, just be willing to make the phone calls and do the work and pulling the permit history and all those like little things are how you stand out. It's the little touches, because there's so many things that go into a home that you, as the person who might live there for the next 30 years, like, you want to know you're in a sound investment.
Right. Especially something like that with the foundation. That can be a huge costly expense. And you're also lucky that the contractor was still around, because a lot of these contractors are just night and day, they're gone.
Yeah.
But so you really went above the mile for your client. But I feel like the other realtor should have, that's a normal thing that they're supposed to do.
Right? I can't tell you how many times my broker will, like, you know, we'll be talking about something, and he's great for, I'll tell him about a situation, and I'll tell him about how, like, I'm going to handle it. Because I always want to show, you know, I'm not just, like, relying on him. I'm doing my own research. And I'm like, okay, so here's kind of what I'm thinking. Here's my game plan. Da, da, da. And he's great for, like, okay, that's good. Here's how you do more and make it better. And always gives me kind of, like, that next step. And so many times he'll start that sentence with, and again, this is a guy who's been in the field for 25 years plus. He, you know, represents buyers, sellers. He's now running his own brokerage. He develops land. He works with contractors. Like, he really has seen every element of the field. He's done commercial real estate as well. And he's great for, like, you know, 90% of realtors don't know this, but da, 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 and he's, you know, finishes the sentence. And so, like, it speaks to, like, how much can get overlooked. And again, how lucky I am to be in the situation I'm in.
That's great. A lot gets overlooked. How do you balance both roles that you're playing with a trainer and a realtor right now?
Time blocking. Especially because I, you know, like, as a trainer, I had a 10 and 11, I had a 2:30, a 3:30. Like, I had set session hours, right? And I'm just also someone who, like, really likes structure, right? I would do the exact same thing every day if I could. I would love the routine. I love all of it. And both of, you know, like, what I do now with remote training, and I do some, like, in-house personal training, and then being a realtor, like, there isn't a set schedule for the most part. You know, it's just how. And so you, as an individual, can either do a really good job of setting up a structure and a schedule, or you can just kind of be really reactive and, like, and it's horrible. At least for me, it's really bad. I know some people love the, like, different. I'm not that way. And so, and quite frankly, the first, like, 4 to 6 weeks of being full-time realtor and not having my schedule anymore was really difficult for me. And I tried a bunch of different things, and finally I just started, like, writing out a schedule for myself, and, like, you know, these hours of the day. So, like, when I write workouts, I do it Monday mornings. No matter what, like, every Monday morning, I got a couple hours where I'm, like, writing out people's weeks and then delivering those weeks. And then it's really easy throughout the week to just, if someone shoots me a message, I can real quick answer it. You know, and then it's like, I go into the office on certain days, and I'm going to be in the real estate office. And there are days where, like, I leave open because I might have to go meet a client or something like that. But I think just making a schedule is the easiest for me.
That's important. Yeah, schedule. I'm one of those people. I like to write what I'm doing down. But sometimes with my job, it's crazy because I'm on the phone so much. So it's, like, all over the place, but at least I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
So my time is here.
The back and forth on the phone is such a nuance of this job. I did not.
You weren't expecting that.
Yeah. So much of my time is spent waiting for someone to call me back.
Oh yeah, waiting for a call because
Yep.
you're waiting on somebody else. I think that's, like, the worst part, especially for people that are like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're, like, a type A, but we
Very
just want to
much
get
so.
it done. And I'm like, God, why can't I get in there and just do it for you?
Yeah,
But
there's nothing better than, like, checking off an item on my list.
oh yeah, I love it. Crossing it off. Like,
Yeah.
you can see, I have to check it off here. It never ends.
Yeah.
So, and I know that you're probably still yourself exercising, working out. Do you find that helps you maintain your cool during any tough situations with your real estate clients?
I did not realize how important it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, growing up someone who's always been fit, like, and always worked out. I've known so many people who are like, oh, I got to work out, get the demons out, like I have to. And I've never been that way. I just enjoy working out. And it's funny now that I'm not, like, in that building, now that I am kind of doing my own thing, it's like me getting in the facility and training is so important. And the days I don't, because it's really easy if you have, like, I don't know, like a weird thing comes up and you might end up spending 4 hours on the phone calling 17 different people trying to get an answer to one question. All of a sudden I'm like, I just don't have time today.
Right.
And if a couple of those days happen in a row, all of a sudden I realize I'm like ruined by the end of the week.
Yeah, it's not good. And I understand that happened to me this week. I couldn't go 2 days because of work events. And by the day that I could go, and the next day I felt like I basically had been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
I felt so stressed out and probably high cortisol levels, and it was just like not good.
Yeah. One of the things I've recently picked up, I've never been like a big runner. I've always been more into weights and like structured programs like that. But I've recently, in the past probably 6-8 months, I've gotten into running, and it makes it a lot easier because I don't have to go to the gym. You know, I can just like throw on my shoes and go run around the neighborhood. So just weird like little things like that to just get something.
How
in
far,
for the day.
like how much do you run? Like miles?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm not a runner. I mean, I could walk. I'll run. I'll walk and do the stop signs. I like to walk. I walk really fast, anyways. But I'm not a runner.
Do you like have the weights in your hand as you're?
I've been known to do that. I'm a lot older than you, so we pretty much did everything.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You see me out there, you'd be like, oh, that's
Just
Colleen.
strutting down the street.
Strutting down the street,
Yeah.
with my music on. So, have you ever worked with clients who were both your trading clients and your real estate clients?
Yes.
Recently. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And that was again one of those situations of like one of the guys at the gym who I had a great relationship with approached me. He's like, I'm getting ready. I want to list my house. Like, you're the gym guy. And you're just doing this realtor thing. And I said, let me come to your house. Let me come have like a true listing appointment with you. And I think he got to see how prepared I was and we just recently closed. And it was a great process. And I got some really good feedback from him at the end of it. But it definitely took having that conversation of showing like, here's why I'm not just the gym guy. But it was a very funny dynamic. Nice. And it was cool. Like I love the guy. Like we have a great relationship. We've known each other for years. So I almost feel like it was kind of like getting to work with a friend. Mm-hmm. And
that's nice.
Yeah. And in the same way, like I'm gonna give the best service possible because I have like no matter what, but to someone that you care about and have like a tight knit relationship, it expedites the process. You don't have to like spend the first couple weeks of like getting to know the person. You can just kind of skip right to the more in it.
So what he wants,
yeah,
and why he's leaving, why he's moving, what he wants to go to.
Yeah.
So how do you stay motivated and so upbeat during this time where you're managing two demanding careers?
I really love. It was very scary at first, and like I said, it took a couple of weeks to figure it out. But now, like being able to make my own schedule has been incredible. And I mean, so I've got our first baby's on the way, coming in February, and so like that's any minute. And my wife is a photographer, runs her own business, so she also like she gets to control her own schedule, right? And that's something that like me and her really click with from the jump of like we both really wanted to be parents and like have a family, and we wanted our kids and our family to be our number one priorities, not our professions. And so we both wanted schedules that would allow us to, pick the kids up from school, take them to school, like just get to spend time with them. And so when I look back at like what I'm doing, like I'm now in a career, like I said, I went from having a set schedule. Now I'm in a career where if I do a good job, I get to create my own schedule. Like I earn that freedom essentially. Because in reality, like if I'm doing well and making commissions, like it allows you to kind of pick and choose more of what you're gonna do in your own clients. And so I think that's my biggest motivation right now is like setting ourselves up so that my wife can, doesn't have to take every job if she doesn't want to. I can kind of pick and choose the clients I want to work with. And obviously that's something that comes down the line. But if we can have a schedule where, we get to be there for our kids whenever we want to, and like not miss a practice or a soccer game or things like that. Like that's a home run to me.
Yeah, because it is going to get chaotic when that baby comes.
Yeah.
There's going to be doctor's appointments and then this and that and late nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the little baby, but it's all fun. Yeah. Trust me.
Every parent we have ever met is so excited to, oh, you're never going to sleep again. It's all over.
That's what they say, but it just depends on the baby.
Yeah.
I'll say it's going to be different. If you are used to getting your 8 hours in a row, you probably won't do that for a little bit.
That's kind of what we're thinking.
That's what's expected, but, you know, it'll work out. Yeah. You're young, vibrant, and healthy, so it'll work. What advice could you give somebody who's maybe looking to pursue 2 careers while they're transitioning from one to the other at the beginning of that transition? What advice could you give to them?
I think long term. You know, when I kind of initially made the switch, there was definitely like you're gonna have moments of like, ooh, did you make the right decision? And you'll get very you know, it's easy to become like emotional and be concerned and be fearful of what's coming. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can kind of take a step back, remember why you made the switch to begin with, and ultimately like what your long-term goals are, it's easier to kind of put your head down. Like you just kind of got to know the beginning is going to be rough, you know, because you're trying to build momentum, especially something that's like service and essentially like word of mouth referral, like being a realtor. Like ultimately that's how I'm going to get the most clients is by people saying, I had a great experience with him, you should also try him. But like if you don't have any experience in the beginning, it's going to take a while. Like you're building momentum. Mm-hmm. So the beginning is tough. So I think just like I said, remembering what you're going for and like having a very clear thought out plan of how you're going to get to where you're going to go.
That's good advice. It's true. Everybody thinks at the beginning it's supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it and everybody would stay doing it.
Yeah. And you get this like, you're so excited because, oh, I'm making the switch and like I'm doing a thing. And everyone congratulates you. All your friends tell you, oh, it's so cool, it's so cool. And that lasts for about a week. Mm-hmm. And then you go, oh my God, like not as much money's coming in.
Now I have to actually start working. Yeah. I have to do something. When is it going to come? When are the people going to call?
Yeah.
And, yeah, I know. I do know that. What goals do you have for your both real estate and your training careers in the next 5 to 10 years?
A goal I have real estate wise is, I guess it would apply for both. Like I've mentioned the relational part of it. Like I want to continue to be able to work with people I love working with. And ultimately, like I know there's definitely going to be, you know, individuals that maybe I don't groove with as well. And that's something you kind of do in the beginning. But if I can get to myself to a position where I can kind of pick and choose and be the person who, like I said, is, oh, we have a thing, we need to figure something out, I'll call Danny. Like have those dynamics and feel like I have a sphere of individuals who just kind of trust me and like have returning clients. Like a repeat client is the coolest thing, you know, because that you did a great job with them, they trust you, and they don't want to go find someone, they just want to use you. So I think just continuing to grow my sphere of repeat clients, whether that is real estate, whether that's fitness, is a really exciting idea to me.
And you mentioned that you do remote training.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would tell you it's definitely a newer thing. I think that's becoming a lot more popular. But essentially, I use an application, a platform where an individual can download that onto their phone. I upload workouts through, like all of our communication is through that platform. But the platform's awesome because it just creates like a really user-friendly way to see workouts, read descriptions. All of the workouts have like a video demonstration so you get to see a little video of me doing the exercise. I can give little like pointers to you. And then it's got, you know, sets, reps. Here's how I want you to do it. Do I want you to do it in a circuit, or do I want you to do it by itself? Do I want you to take long rest intervals? Do I want you to take short rest intervals? So it gives you the almost an in-person training experience, because that's, I feel like, most people's hang up. You know, like everyone wants to get in shape. They just don't know what to do. They don't, you know what I mean? Like you go to the gym and there's machines everywhere and there's, you know, weird people, and you just kind of walk in, you might get on like the elliptical for 10 minutes and pick up a couple weights, and then you feel weird and you leave. So this provides, you can feel a little bit more confident because you have a structured plan that you are doing, without having to pay for an in-person personal trainer. Because that's the other thing, you don't always need someone right on top of you telling exactly what to do. You know, like it's really important in the beginning, but once you kind of start figuring some of the movements out and you build a little more confidence in the gym, like just kind of having it on your phone, you know, is sufficient. It's not as good, but it's pretty close, and it's a much more, you know, financially accessible to a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So where do you see yourself with your 2 careers in the next 5 years, let's say, evolving?
That's a great question. I definitely am. Real estate will be my main thing, and that is like where all of my focus is going into. And I still love training people, and I still want to continue to scratch that itch. It'll just kind of be something I think that's a little bit more reserved and not necessarily something I'm like pushing for, where the people who I have a training relationship now will hopefully continue. But ultimately, like, I just want to make a name for myself as a realtor and do as many transactions as I can over the next few years, and get to work with as many different kinds of people and experience all. Like, I feel like I'm trying to get caught up on experience, you know, and that's something that quite frankly just takes time. But if I can just kind of put my head down and like say yes to every opportunity and be willing to be challenged and willing to, you know, do the extra little steps, because that's how you learn things. So I came from a position where I felt so comfortable in what I was doing as a strength coach. I had experienced all the weird things, or at least most of them. And now I want that for real estate. I want that experience.
So thank you for joining me again, Danny Sposato. This was like really amazing information. And I want to wish you congratulations, you and your wife, on your first baby coming in February.
Thank you.
I pray that everything works out amazing for you. And I know it will. I know that your careers, you have like a great head on your shoulder. I'm saying that like a mom. But, but I feel like you're going to be very successful in whatever you do.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate
including
that.
Being a dad. So it's exciting. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for listening and joining us. If you haven't already, please share, subscribe, and like our episodes and our podcast. Also, leave a review. It will be so helpful to us, and we would so appreciate it. Also, if you want to join us at any time, we're open to any guests joining us in person and on Zoom. We post and record episodes bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. Also, they're posted on our socials, which is Facebook, Secured Insurance Group, Instagram, Colleen Insurance Lady. This podcast was hosted by myself, Miss Colleen Pacheco, and recorded and produced and edited by Sean Sposato. Our podcast cover art was designed and created by Norma Pacheco, and our intro and outro music is created by Lounge Bar by Geronik. Goodbye.